Okay, we will call our meeting to order tonight. Ms. Wilson, do we notify the media?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And I do declare that we have a quorum with all board members present. We will need approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion about the agenda? All those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. I just want to welcome everyone tonight, and I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the time that you're taking out of your schedule to join us. But right now, I would like to take just a moment to recognize that LDHS lost 2 students this past weekend. Zylea Young and Jaden Bailey. And I just want everyone to keep their families and their friends in your prayers, because I can only imagine the pain that they're going through. And if you don't mind, if we could take just a short, about 30 seconds, a moment of silence for them, please. Thank you. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to their families. And now, if we would, please stand. Mr. Patterson's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. And first on our agenda tonight is we have our school report from Ford Elementary, Mr. Zach Watson.
You gotta approve the minutes.
Oh, I apologize. Mr. Watson, you have a couple of minutes.
Oh, okay.
We need to approve minutes. I apologize. We need to approve our minutes from both our work session and our board meeting on August 22nd. And those minutes for both the work session and the meeting were sent in our board packet. If we could get a motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Varner. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving our minutes for the August 22nd work session and board meeting, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you. All right, thank you, Dr. Thomas, for that. Now, Mr. Zach Watson from Ford Elementary.
Good evening, Superintendent
Good evening.
Thomas and board members, as well as L55 staff and community. As our chairwoman spoke of, I am Zach Watson, principal here at Ford Elementary School, and I am delighted to have this opportunity to share our outline of our school year this year with you all. As many of us know, all of us actually, the pandemic has had an impact on much of what we've been able to do, so it's my pleasure to be able to get back to this world-class education that we're preparing for our students this year. And I want to be able to share some of our activities with you all. We are developing world-class champions at Ford Elementary School, where our vision is to be the #1 ranked school in elementary school in the state on all performance measures. We've adopted our mission from our district. The mission of our school is to provide a positive and encouraging educational climate that enables each child to build a core body of knowledge and master key skills that support their social, emotional, and academic growth. As we go through these slides, I'll share with you how we go about working to make sure that happens. What does it take? First thing it takes is a highly functional and supportive team. One team, one dream, all focused on the same thing, and that's making sure that every student receives a world-class education at Ford Elementary School. Start with high qualified, caring, and effective administrators, teachers, and staff. and making sure that we're setting goals and providing action steps to reach those goals. First key is to make sure that the big rocks first, which are our priorities, and we have three. Our winning priorities are to provide a world-class safety and positive school culture, to provide world-class high-quality instruction to increase student achievement, as well as to provide world-class communication and family engagement. We'll start with the safe and secure learning environment. Thanks to our district, over the last few years, we've been able to secure all of our access points. In order for anyone to enter our building, they must be cleared to enter either through the gate or through the front office. We also have clear and concise emergency protocols. We don't have a code 13 or code red. If we have a coyote outside, then we're going to go into what we call lockout. That means we lock down the building from the inside out, but we continue with our normal movement with the exception of going outside. We practice our drills monthly, and after those practices we work to ensure that the best and most effective movement is happening. In fact, we try to cut down on our evacuation time each drill, and then we look at those areas that we need to firm up. One of the most important things is ensuring that during the transitions, that's the time when the students and staff are most vulnerable. So we ensure that 100% of our staff members are supervising our students at all of our major transitions. Before we move in the afternoon or morning, we make sure that all those individuals are in place so that all of our students are supervised and that we've got all of our bases covered from start to the end of the day. We have ongoing updates, and you'll hear me talk about two-way communication with parents and guardians. What that means is that we share information, but we solicit information from our parents as well. In order for us to have that two-way communication, we have to constantly communicate with them the things that are happening in the school and give them opportunities to engage in the process. We have what we call a school-wide student positive behavior system. At Ford, we believe that what you focus on is what you get. So if we focus on rewarding those positive behaviors, then we get more of those. That does not mean that we don't consequence students when they do things that they shouldn't, but our focus is on making sure that our students are respectful, responsible, ready to learn and safe, and they're rewarded for that throughout the day, week, and special positive parties and events. Goal number 2, high quality instruction. Starts with having instructionally cognizant leadership. Our instructional leadership team must be mindful of the things that are being taught, when they're being taught, how they're being taught, and we must make sure that we're observing and providing that feedback to support the teachers so that they can better provide instruction for our students. Secondly, we just have a clear and viable curriculum that has academic pieces that can be taught within the time frame that allotted for them to be taught. So we focus on what we call power standards, and those and set power goals for our students. That allows for us to kind of target those standards that are those that will enable students to be ready for that next grade level. So if I'm a kindergarten, I want to make sure that I've mastered those standards at KG that will prepare me for that beginning of first grade, and the same with third, fourth, fifth, and so on. Delivery of measurable learning targets. Each day, students should have a learning target in each of their subjects, whereas when the children come home, they're able to tell their parents, and today in math, I learned about the commutative property, as opposed to just coming home and saying, hey, Mom, we did math today. Each day, students should be able to identify their learning targets and know whether they've met them or not. Formative and summative assessments are given here at our school. Formative, we do those. Those are assessments for learning. So we want to give them those like common assessments to determine what our next steps are. Now the summative, kind of the haze in the barn on those. That's the end when we assess, have you learned it? It doesn't stop there because we give them multiple opportunities to succeed as well. Data-informed planned instruction aligned to student needs. Making sure that we have good information. It starts with those assessments. If we're going to be the best on performance measures, then we got to measure the performance. Those assessments enable us to be able to determine where students are, where their weaknesses are, and what supports they'll need to reach our goals as well as their individual goals. Engaging and informing families. Pandemic had a major impact on this, especially in elementary schools. So now we're able to get back to those things that make elementary schools special. We have our school-wide weekly performance reports. Every Tuesday, students at Ford receive performance reports that go home for parents to sign Those parents also have an opportunity to help those students on those items that maybe they didn't do so well on. That gives us an opportunity to extend the learning opportunities to the home. We also have what we call curriculum nights. We've got one coming up October 27th. We're calling it Books and Boo, but it's really about reading and English language arts. It's just a clever way to get the students and the parents in to have a night of learning around some fun activities. We'll have our math and science curriculum nights coming in the winter and spring as well. We have weekly Sunday messages that goes into that two-way communication. Each week I send a message out to our parents, updating them on items that are coming up, ensuring that they're informed on anything that's happening so that they can prepare their week as well as prepare their students. This we missed during the pandemic, so I'm looking forward to getting back to the quarterly principals chats. That's an opportunity for parents to come in every quarter, share information with me, and I have an agenda in which I share information with them about the school and their grade levels during those meetings. Student performance parent conferences. We're preparing our teachers and students now to be able to have those student-led conferences with students' current levels, their goals and their action steps to reach their goals so that they can share with their parents what they're doing and where they're purposing to go at their particular grade level. And last but not least, in engaging and informing our families, the celebrations, those award ceremonies, Writer of the Month activities. We are working this year through what we call a house system and an opportunity for us to engage with every student that enables students to have team members or house members across multiple grade levels, as well as adults that may not necessarily be their teachers, supporting them depending on which of the houses they're in. We are Forward champions, so we have 3 houses: the House of Victory, Success, and Triumph. Students are dispersed into each of one of those 3 houses and supported by the individual professionals or adults that are leading those houses. Focus mission. First thing is that we want to make sure that we are providing have world-class champion for every child, every chance, every day. We don't want to miss a second of instruction. We've lost a lot of it in the years in the past, so we've got to accelerate and remediate our students, each one every day. Develop grade level skills. That's the first priority. What I mean by that is every student needs to leave their grade level ready for the next grade level. So if we're going to reach our vision of being the best on all performance measures, that's the first step. Making sure that a 3rd grader leaves 3rd grade ready for 4th grade, or 4th grader leaves 4th grade ready for 5th grade, and so on. It takes individualized instruction to ensure that happens. Improve the individual performance. We do that through keeping a detailed student portfolio. That portfolio should be able to tell the story of that student's performance from one point to the next, along with intervention as well as progress monitoring that enables us to determine if what we're doing is working for that student, as well as make adjustments based on what the student is presenting to us. And then build those professional skills, skill set for our professionals. We have to provide professional development, meaning professional development that's based on observations and focus walks, so that we are shoring up our professionals so that they can be the best to meet the students' needs. What does it take? It takes data-informed planning. What I mean by data, we have to have information around the students so that we can plan based on what they need. Highly motivated staff. That is definitely up to me to ensure that our staff is motivated, create an environment where the adults want to be there and want to do what's best for the students. A commitment to the success of every child. And I will say that all of our teachers come in and they work very, very hard to ensure that every child receives that world-class education on a daily basis. Again, that's that two-way communication, giving our parents an opportunity to communicate with us as well as us communicating with them. Our immediate steps to becoming world-class. The first thing starts with our planning. We've got to plan and prepare. Lesson plans need to be aligned with the power standards. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. Those standards that are specific to their grade level and are necessary for them to have success at the next grade level. So I want to make sure that we are teaching those within that viable curriculum. Currently, our coaches are actually planning kind of for our teachers and with them. Eventually, we'll gradually release that so that our teachers are planning the lessons in isolation, and then turning those into us so that we can review them and then do our observations of the instruction going forward. But right now, we're ensuring that we're giving them the best opportunity to plan lessons successfully with the help of the coaches and the instructional leadership team. Grade levels collaborative planning. All of our grade levels have a common planning. Many people call them PLCs, but we'll come together and go over a number of items depending on what's needed at that grade level. Sometimes it's the common assessments, preparing and making sure that the assessments are aligned with the levels of rigor of the standard that's being assessed. And then those formal and informal observations and learning walks, with the key being feedback. It does no good for us to come in and observe a classroom and then not provide the feedback back to the teachers so that they can develop from what we were able to observe. All right. Oftentimes, and I'm probably guilty of it as well, veteran educators oftentimes say that, well, I know my students. I can tell you that this is where this student is, or this student needs one thing or another needs another. Oftentimes our perception does not match reality. But in order for us to bring those two things together, we have to use data or information on those students. In order to make the best decisions, you've got to have the best information. So we rely on our data so that we are data-driven in all of our decisions. And there are 5 components to that. The first one is you got to collect it. You got to have those pieces so that you can collect data, not just those one-time assessment or those summative assessment. It has to be ongoing. Then we analyze that data to make sense so that we can provide the right instruction for those students. And the part of it is reporting it out so that the students and the class know exactly where they are, as well as parents. And then using the data for school improvement. We have what we call a comprehensive school improvement plan, but it's always in draft. And the reason it's in draft because the data is going to tell us what our next steps are with that. So we have to adjust it on an ongoing basis. And then we communicate through the data. Anytime we're meeting with parents, whether it's a behavior issue or not, we always bring it back to the student performance. How are they performing academically? We are a place of teaching and learning, so we have to make sure that remains the focus anytime we're communicating things out to our parents. All right, what does our current data tell us? We look at K through 2, our greatest deficits are in the areas of vocabulary, language, craft, and structure. And in math, greatest deficits, geometry, number sense, measurement, and data. We move to 3rd through 5th grade, same deficits in ELA. Same almost in 3rd through 5th with the exception of geometry. And I have a theory as to why it's not showing geometry at this point. Point to this is we must make sure that we close those deficits early on, or the trend speaks to that they'll only widen as we go forward. So we've got to make sure that we're focusing on individual students' deficits and closing those deficits so that they're ready for the next grade level, or we'll continue to have this type of trend. All right, now that we'll take a look at our state standardized assessments for this year. We only give those 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, so we're going to look at those grade levels in ELA and math. We look at our 3rd grade data. I figured it would be kind of hard to see, so I'll kind of give you an overview of what we have here. The first bar indicates those students that did not meet. Second bar indicates the students that are approaching the grade level. The third indicates left to right, indicates the students that met the standard. 4th is exceeding, 5th is exceeding and meeting, and that 6th green bar is exceeding, meeting, and approaching. That last one on each year, and what you're looking at on the first group is 2021 and 2022 on the second, on each of these slides. That third bar is super important to us because it helps us to set our goal for the coming year. So when we look at 3rd grade, our 3rd grade ELA from 21 to 22 percentage increased in the percentage of meeting and exceeding from 12 meeting and exceeding to 19% meeting and exceeding. That's an increase of 7 percentage points over the previous year's performance. Our 2nd grade, they don't have a cohort coming up because that group does not take our 3rd grade, our 2nd grade group doesn't take, but when we talk about our 4th grade and 5th grade data, we compare it to the cohort. So that 3rd grade data is compared to this 4th grade data as I'll share with you now. So when we look at our 4th grade, we increased our grade level cohort percentage meeting from 12% to 25%. That's more than doubling the percentage of growth from 3rd to 4th grade. Our 2022-23 goal is 32%. which is a 42 percentage point improvement from the current year's 19% meeting and exceeding. When we look at 5th grade ELA, the cohort shows a decrease of 0.5% percentage points, down from 22.2 meeting exceeding as 4th graders to 21.7% meeting and exceeding as 5th graders. However, the grade level to grade level percentage meeting and exceeding increased from 10% meeting and exceeding to 21% meeting and exceeding. Our 22-23 goal is 49% meeting and exceeding, which is a 15% improvement from the current 4th grade 40%, which is, as I said, 49. 40 is a 15% increase from the 25% meeting and exceeding. Now we'll move on to math. 3rd grade increased the percentage of meeting exceeding from 14% to 24%, which is a 10 percentage point increase from the previous year's performance. The 2022-2023 goal is 38%, which is a 14 percentage point improvement from the current data. Our 4th grade slightly increased the cohort from 14% to 15%, which is a small 1% increase from the 3rd grade to 4th grade. Our 22-23 goal is 38%, which is 14 percentage point improvement from the current 24% meeting and exceeding. And 5th grade, look at our 5th grade math. 5th grade increased the cohort, meaning that 4th grade group that came up meeting and exceeding from 11% to 23%. That's more than doubling the percentage of meeting and exceeding from the previous year. And our goal there going into the next year is 37%, another 14% increase.
Mr. Watson, what test data was that? Was that MAP, grades?
SC ready.
SC ready?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have an achievement gap, so we have to work to close that achievement gap. The first thing is that we have to do is focus on remediating and accelerating simultaneously. It sounds difficult, but the mission is possible. First, we have to identify the deficits and employ immediate intervention. We can't wait to employ our interventions. We need to start immediately. Individualized student portfolio development. Those portfolios are super important to making sure that we are meeting the individual needs of our students and identifying those areas that we can firm those students up, as well as accelerating their growth. Also providing those support services like our Eagle's Nest tutorial, our ESOL for our ML students, and then using that RTI process to support them academically with our academic interventionists. And last but not least, ensuring that our counseling and social emotional supports are there for our students. Documenting and using the results. Math and language arts benchmarks is what we give: growth measure assessments, MAP assessments, common assessments in those areas. Particularly, I noted this because the early literacy skills are super important. So we've got to make sure that we are building our students' ability with the phonics and phonemic awareness, as well as vocabulary is an area for our weakness for us. So assessing those pieces as well. Team training on accessing and analyzing data through our PLCs, and then moving not only from horizontal planning, but to that vertical planning, so that the grade below and the grade above is aware of what's being done at that grade in the middle, and vice versa. Immediate action steps. Grade level planning must be aligned to the high impact performance standards. Measuring and charting growth. Making sure that it's charted so that we can see who's moving and who's not, and what do we need to do to ensure that they are. As I spoke of earlier, our schooling improvement goals need to be aligned to our academic needs. And then last but not least, communicating with well-performing schools. I believe that if someone else is doing it well, let's find out what they're doing and employ some of those pieces so that we can do the same. Ongoing and impactful professional development. Standards-based classrooms that enable multiple opportunities for success, not a one-shot and done. We're focused on progress. And then keeping the main thing, and the main thing in bold words is student academic improvement. Speaking of keeping the main thing, every child, every chance, every day, making sure that we have them there, that we're providing them with every resource that we have, and that we're doing it minute by minute and day by day. Teaching and assessing. What's being taught, we need to be able to assess it to determine whether the students made meaning of it. And then managing and improving our operations. Daily, as leaders, we have to make sure that we're looking at our operations and focusing on opportunities to improve on all of our operations, from our safety and security measures to those things that are happening routinely in the classroom. And then making sure that our teachers have the right resources and support to ensure that teaching and learning takes place. So we're constantly meeting with our teachers to ensure that we're supporting them as well as providing them with their needed resources. And then using the data for continuous improvement. So we have to continuously have data for that to happen. So continuously assess. All right, step one, greatest gains. And y'all, I promise, I'm just hot up here. I don't know if it's everybody else, but my goodness, it's hot. So I'm like a minister. I guess I get sweating when I start my sermon. Thank you. I thought you were letting me. All right, I appreciate it. I think the team knows that too. I sit in front of a fan just to keep cool. All right, step one, our grade is to obtain the greatest gains in 2023. Step one in reaching our vision. So our goals for 2022, 2023 are, one, to be the best on all performance measures. That's our vision. But the immediate is to see the greatest gains in our region in ELA, math, and science. And also to have at least three of our teachers regionally recognized for excellent performance. And then have the most improved subgroup performance. We operate on what we call the simple six. First one being relationships. In order to be successful in elementary school, middle and high school as well, but definitely in elementary school, you have to develop the right relationships, not only with the students, but as well as with the parents and community. Now that COVID is behind us, that we have a number of ways that we work to do that by bringing our parents and community in, so we've got that part back. Second one is making the learning relevant. You know, if we can make it meaningful to our students, they're more apt to understand and be able to apply it. And then ensuring that the right level of rigor is applied to in our instruction on a daily basis. Four is high expectations, but not high expectations without the right support for students. We just can't hold them to high expectations. We have to make sure that we support them to getting there. And then our data-driven approaches, making sure that we are utilizing ongoing data to make decisions about what we're doing for students. And the last piece is the systematic individualized instruction. That's driven through the students' portfolios, their individual student portfolios. Those 6 things in place will help us, is our roadmap to getting to where we need to be. Therefore, our mission is possible. I said in the very beginning that we're one team, one dream, and that's where we are right now. We are one team, one dream, working to develop a world-class champions by providing a world-class educational experience for our students at Ford Elementary School. Thank you all for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. I appreciate it.
I need to do anything with this? No?
Can we leave it up?
Did anyone have any questions? Anyone?
I'm just curious,
Uh-huh.
if you're going to be number one in the state, and you said you want to be data-driven, you know where you stand now?
Yeah, that was a part of what I was sharing there, where we are. In terms of the state...
Where do you rank as far as all the elementary schools? That's a big number, I know.
We're in the bottom quartile.
Okay.
Yeah, and we're fully aware of that, which is why we're working with those individualized pieces, because in order for us to get there, every single student has to show growth. They have to reach that that grade level performance. So therefore, the portfolios will enable us to be able to support those students to reaching grade level performance. And the more that we get to grade level performance, the closer we are to being at the top tier schools.
And kind of follow up, what can this group do to help you achieve that?
So, resources, making sure that we are fully resourced, and as of now we are. We have all of the resources that we need, including the human resources. I think we just received support from our academic interventionists and additional support to come in and push into some of our classes. So those resources are what we need.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others?
Thank you. Dr. Thomas?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, those in attendance, and those viewing online. I want to first send a heartfelt condolences to the loved ones of 2 district students who passed away over the weekend. Our thoughts and prayers are with these families, and we are providing support for those who needed to deal with the grief at the high school. Joining us virtually this evening is Mr. Steve Jones with Synergistic. As I reported at last month's board meeting, our district remains committed to being strong financial stewards. And while we have worked diligently to reduce overall costs, we have carefully researched other ways just to reduce our operating expenses. My staff and I have found that we could further reduce our energy costs while protecting the learning environment, the buildings, and the mechanical systems through a partnership with Synergistic. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Steve Jones, who will share some information, some additional information, as well as answer questions that you all may have.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas. Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, ladies and gentlemen of the board, Lawrence County, thank you for allowing me to be here. I apologize that I have a situation that precluded me from traveling to South Carolina for this board meeting, but I thank you very much for having me here virtually. As Dr. Thomas said, I would like to kind of do a little overview of the program and then answer any questions that you may have moving forward. Synergistic is excited about the opportunity to partner with Lawrence 55. As it was said at the last meeting, we are an energy conservation organization that solely and strictly reduces the energy that the districts use. We do that through behavioral-based changes, no capital outlay, not an ESCO, not any type of equipment. We monitor the equipment that you are currently using, optimizing that equipment to its potential. But the other aspects that we bring with our program include the healthy building aspect, air quality control within the organization, student, teacher, and staff comfort issues. But at the forefront is a funding source, putting dollars that you are currently putting or spending with your utility provider, putting that back into your general fund for other needs within the district. Again, we're excited about the opportunity. We feel like we can do good things in Lawrence 55, and I will open it up for questions if there are any. I know there were some concerns, and I would love to address those and answer them as best that I can.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Anyone on the board want to address or ask questions? I know Mr. Patterson, you weren't able to be here with us last time. Mr. Varner had some questions. Any?
I was just reading the guarantee, which kind of falls under the whole monthly fee system. What is Synergistic's definition of the client substantially performing its responsibilities? What does that exactly mean?
What that means is we are going to propose a program, a systematic program within the organization that falls within ASHRAE standards, Department of Education standards, OSHA standards, any of the environmental standards that we see that can optimize the comfort for the district, but also reduce the consumption of energy. Not implementing the program is if the district were to just say, we want to put all of our air conditioners on 68 degrees in the summer, regardless of what the program says. That is something that would be in breach of our contractual agreement. It is a good faith effort from the district to abide by the set program that is agreed on between the district and Synergistic and utilizing that program.
So what's the measurement guidelines as far as when that monthly fee is incurred or not, based off of the savings? Like if do you have a list of 10 things that have to be done to the T in order for us to determine whether that fee is to be made or not? Because I know that if we don't save what's being promised, the way I read it is that monthly fee doesn't have to be paid. So that's, what are the guidelines there as far as if you don't do these 10 things, you have to pay that fee regardless?
Right, that is a fantastic question. There will not be a list of items. We will never say to the district, and we've never said to any of our partners, if you do not replace this piece of equipment, or if you do not install these types of equipment, we will not stand behind our guarantee. Our list of deliverables from the district is simply adhering to the program that is agreed upon within the organization for run times, set times, shutdowns, those types of things. We will never say we will not guarantee what we said because you did not implement this equipment or this drastic change within the organization. We need to be very clear about that, and that's a great question. We will never come back and say, well, we told you that you needed to put $800,000 into this high school, or we wouldn't reach our savings. That will not be done. This is strictly behavioral.
And that, I understand that, and that's, I'm speaking on the behavioral side of if certain things do not get done, what are the guidelines there on the behavior side of things? Because all this seems to be, you know, all this is manual. We will manually have to flip the switches and manually have to cut this off and manually have to cut that off, because there's a promise in here that no equipment will have to be purchased in order to follow this program. So that's what are the behavioral guidelines there as far as that coverage?
The guidelines would be that the energy specialist will be tasked with and will be monitoring the conditions in the 10 schools or on all of your facilities to make sure that that equipment is shut down in the evenings, that it is coming on in the mornings on Monday morning. It is shut down over holiday periods. If you were to say, if you want to get into an example, which is a great question, if you were to say, we're just going to leave all of the air conditioners on at all of our schools during spring break, that would be, we would have to have a discussion about that. And I think in the contract, it talks about we would give written notice, but that is in violation of the agreed upon policy. Those would be the types of things that we address. If you have an event on a weekend at a middle school and you need to run it outside of the parameters, of course, that is not going to be in violation of our policy. It has to be blatant, and it has to be addressed, and it has to be vetted before there's any type of implementation.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Any additional questions for Mr. Jones?
Dr. Thomas, would you like me to put the fee scale up there one more time and talk about that, or are we good with that?
Sure, you could share that again, please.
Okay. Mr. Brady, can you put that up there, please?
He's making his way back to his desk.
Okay, thank you.
Is this the same document that we had? Okay.
Have we got it up there?
And this is the same document that was shared with the board in the packet previously.
Dr. Thomas, I think that information is in the.
It's projected savings, that's not the fee, is it?
So if it's up there, what we have done, and it is an option for the district that we have provided, that I got approved, you'll see in the first year that the monthly fee is $7,888 a month throughout the lifetime of the contract. That is guaranteed through the contract. Also through the contract, guaranteed is the stipend for the energy specialist. but we have deferred the first 3 months of the first year for no payment. So what we're doing with Lawrence 55 is on the first 3 months of the contract, we are going to infuse cash directly into the district with no fee for those first 3 months. And I hope that reflects up there the smaller number. I can't see it, I apologize.
They're all annual numbers listed there, Mr. Jones.
Mr. Frady, did you get the email that I sent you? Okay, it should show that the investment in the first year is 71,000, and then the subsequent years after the 95.
Yeah, we see the annual
The
like that.
subsequent years after is a 12-month fee. The first year is a 9-month fee. So there will be no payment due from the district for 90 days.
And that's the difference between the 71 and the 95, is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. That's taking that 78, that monthly payment and subtracting it from the first year.
That's an average. Those aren't accurate numbers year by year. Because in the first year, the agreement is that we pay $4,333.33 each month. The second year, we pay $6,833.33. The third year, we pay $7,916.67. The fourth year is $8,916.67, and then the fifth year is $96.66.67. So the fees that are showing on this chart are based off of average numbers. Those aren't for real numbers.
What we've taken is the contract that you originally had and took out the first 3 months. It's an option, of course it is an option, and then flat leveled it for the term of the 5 years. That is correct. If you are more inclined and you thought the other one was more beneficial to the district, with the 4333 the first year and incrementally going up, that is of course completely fine with us. We just, in talking with Dr. Thomas, I wanted to give the option to be able to have those 90 days of all of the savings going straight into the district coffers.
So we'll pay the same amount each month through the contract, 4 years and 9 months. Each month will be the same cost.
I apologize, I just bounced out. If you asked a question, I missed it.
Yeah, I was asking that we'll pay the same fee every month for 4 years and 9 months, basically, correct?
Yes, sir.
Is this the correct contract that we got, that we were sent? Because it's different than that. It says different than that.
Yes, it's different because Mr. Jones mentioned that just looking at the 90 days and trying to allow us to have some savings on the front end.
Okay.
And so that is an option. So it is either do that option or we could use the current that you all have with those numbers in there.
So what we've done, I'm assuming, is we've negated the first 3 months payments and we've reduced the payments year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5, correct? And increased the payments in the first year.
That is correct. We have increased the payment in the first year with the 3-month hiatus on the payments as a level funding for the term of the, and it was an option for budgeting purposes, but if we prefer the original pricing matrix, we would be glad to do that. Either way, we will.
Linked out again.
Dr. Thomas, I'll ask you this question, just as a point of clarification, even though this says we're paying a fee, whether it be the fees that are outlined here in this document or if you choose to take the 90-day option that Mr. Jones is referring to, the fees will change slightly. Either way, those are not fees that we are actually paying out. Those are fees that we are incurring savings, and we are giving part of that savings to Synergistics. Is that correct? So we're not actually writing checks.
If you save that money.
So we will actually.
But you gotta
the
spend to
savings
save that much.
The savings that we would have would cover the cost. Mr. Jones, if you could
Got it.
please speak to that question. The question was as far as the savings that should cover the cost of any fees, or even also the energy specialist.
Yes, ma'am. So the fees are paid to us monthly. That is correct. At the end of the year, if we have not saved you enough to cover the energy specialist and the fees that you paid us, we will reimburse you for the difference. It's in a contract guarantee.
So we have to pay every month through the year and then receive that refund back if there are savings, correct?
If there is no savings, yes, sir. If it is not,
Or if
we
there are
don't
no,
cover that. But to be honest with you, we're looking at about 8 or 9% of your current utility spend is our fees. We're projecting somewhere around 20% total savings annually with this program. So
Is that
we're
guaranteed?
very confident that we're going to not only cover the fees as we do in most of our partners, but put money back into the general fund.
Is that guaranteed?
The guarantee is for your fees, not for the projection.
That's fine.
But it is 100% guaranteed that you will never spend more than you save with this program for the life of the program. And we want to put money back in the district. That's the ultimate goal of this. Healthy buildings and funding is a major part of what we do.
What's the process day one? If we agree to the contract, what's the rollout process on this?
We'll send an implementation team of about 5 or 6 people into your district, start building a model of all of your facilities, all of your schools, windows, equipment, the R factor, the amount of students in it, run times, and start putting together a model of each of your buildings. Then we start putting together the process of implementing the plan. So while we're vetting the energy specialist, we will bring people in that are implementation teams. So we will start from day one, looking at your bills, getting those organized, getting a good baseline, and laying a foundation for the program. It's going to take us 60 to 90 days to build a model for all of your facilities. But once we build that, that's your proprietary information. That is the district's information that we are building off of.
Mr. Jones, it's Todd Varner. One of the things I did look at too is just interested in what kind of people would do the energy specialist. And I see the fee that you're saying, their stipend here. And when you back out benefits and you look at the type of person and the talents and education that you're looking for here, that doesn't buy you very much. And if I look online, and I did at Indeed and some other job sites, they gave you pretty poor reviews, to be honest. I mean, they were mixed, and some say you guys asked them to work nights and weekends, basically, and you don't give them much training, and so that really causes me some concern with this program.
Yes, sir. I understand that. Respect what your comment and what you've read. I just a little background about me. Not that it makes a lot of difference, but I was in public service for 27 years. I hired Synergistic 5 years ago before I retired. I can attest that we did not have that experience. I like to have people talk about or ask our current partners about our ability to perform. The Department of Energy has granted Synergistic Energy Star Partner of the Year for 14 years in a row. That is not something that you apply for, that is something that you are chosen for. I think that we have a pretty strong reputation of providing and performing, and we're looking for the opportunity to do it here.
Where all do y'all currently have clients?
We've got about 1,500 nationally. Lex 5 in South Carolina is a client. We have clients in North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, all throughout the Southeast, and then of course all over the country. We changed the name. The name was Energy Education for many years. I guess it was about 12 years ago, we virtualed off into mega churches, hospitals, municipalities, so we felt that our vertical had gotten different, so we changed to synergistic. So we're not just in the K-12 world, we're in the higher ed municipality world.
Any additional questions?
Is any of the data that's taken from the district as far as utilities go, is any of that purchased or sold by or to other companies?
No, absolutely not. This is your proprietary data. All of the software that you use, all the models that we build are your proprietary data. We do not share those at all. We do not. If you're asking about selling to outside vendors or anything like that, absolutely not.
And there's a guarantee of no cost other than the energy specialist and the monthly fee, correct?
That is correct. There's absolutely no additional cost. There were zero. So I very much appreciate the question. We studied this, we vetted this just like you did with us. We want to take your utility consumption and lower it. You spend $1 million a year in utilities, $3,000 a day. We think that we can get that down to a smaller number and be able to put some money back into the school district for other opportunities and needs.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jones. Is there any additional questions from the board?
Thank you, Dr. Stein. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have you approached LEC or Duke Energy, anybody, to do an energy audit, or what that would cost or what that would look like, to see if we can get the same information? Because I've had it done at the farm. I know it's a smaller scale, but they came in and told me exactly how to save energy in this building or that building or whatever without any cost. Like, no cost to you. With the equipment you have, this is how you can save money. I mean, I've had the same, I saw this as an energy audit by an energy specialist to say, cut your lights off at this time, leave them off for this long, cut your HVAC systems off. I wonder if we can use somebody local and benefit,
We can.
benefit the county.
Lawrence Electric to send us a man, Duke Power send us a man. It's
rather than
common
send
sense.
Send it out of state. I'm just asking. I'm not shooting the idea down. I'm just wondering if that avenue has been talked with through LEC or Duke Energy.
Right, absolutely. So we have done some things in the past just to kind of look at our energy consumption and see how we might be able to conserve energy. And so there's things that we've done, and we've actually done a similar program, and by looking at the information, we did save significantly on that so that we're able to use that funding on other things. The problem is, or the benefit, I guess, of this is that as far as having the manpower to really see the significant gains for savings and the software. And so that is what is provided through Synergistic, is having the software to monitor as well as the human resource to be able to do it at night and on the weekends. So that was just the difference there.
What, have they discussed what all that software actually includes? Because, I mean, it's no cost, so there's obviously no automation things that are being implemented into the schools. So that data is going to have to taken by a person and inputted by a person. I'm assuming the energy specialist. Has that been in discussion of what the software actually does or what it is to keep track of all that?
Yes, and I don't know if that flyer was in this packet, but was in a previous packet that actually included the information that everything that's included in the software. We also work with Johnson Controls, who's also given us suggestions on things that we can do to help save and things of that nature for energy. But this would be kind of in addition to those things.
So we're looking at using Johnson Controls to change some things and spend money here to hopefully save on this end as well. We're trying to combine everything as a whole to create those savings, correct?
Correct. Johnson Controls is actually where we, like when we've had to purchase different things, we've utilized them for those purposes.
I don't, when somebody comes in and tells me I don't have to do anything or spend any money to save money, I'm a little hesitant on.
You got to spend money. We're gonna spend money.
I just don't see that, and there's a lot of what ifs sprinkled in this contract and that's why I was asking, what's the guarantee on the behavioral side of things? Because this is purely behavioral stuff. This is teachers cut lights off, or students cut lights off, or whatever it may be. Like, there's words in here that if you don't follow this thing to a T, we're going to charge you regardless of whether it saves you or not. That's why I was asking what their definition of substantially. Substantially is a big word, and to me that means following every rule to every T. And they're going to have a checklist of this has to be done.
Well, you said that even on the weekends, if you go in and utilize the school, I mean, that's for even us at home, when we leave lights on, everybody, I don't know if they have LED or whatever, they cost about, the cost savings in that respect, but I feel like they probably had a presentation, and I'm guessing your team has listened to them and compared to others, I guess Johnson Controls or whatever, because we've utilized them, and I guess that contract has been going on for many years now.
Right, yes.
So,
and this was just an endeavor, just looking at just different opportunities to save money for the district and be able to get additional funds into our general fund. So just doing some research with that, this was an option to be able to help so that we can have additional funds for our classrooms, our students, our teachers, and our facilities.
My hesitation there is that we work from year to year, 2022 to 2023 for that school year, and this is going to cause us to pay out those funds that could be used during the school year, anticipating a refund. So essentially, we're going to be losing money throughout the year to make that payment. Not on a guarantee that we will save anything. So we're possibly losing $108,000, $132,000 a year that could be spent towards curriculum or resources or whatever it may be. More teachers, or better pay for the teachers that we got, off of a guarantee that's impossible to do. I mean,
right, and to your point, the only way we get a refund is if we don't have the savings. So actually the savings would happen each month. So we should be able to see the savings in our energy costs each month. So a refund would be if there's not the savings that was guaranteed.
But you're gonna be spending every month doing what they tell you to do to save that. Why not get an energy expert in here and let's do it ourselves, just like District 4 did in Woodruff. In less than 4 years, they put all LED lights, they done what the man told. Less than 4 years, they're putting a ton of money back in their district. They're not sending it to these people.
What do Lexington's numbers look like? Were you able to get anything out of them?
Yeah, I don't have that information with me, but I know that they've had significant savings, and so they are at the end of their 5 years contract. And again, you know, this was just a recommendation to
That's right, yeah.
hopefully save money for the district, but ultimately the board would definitely decide what you all would like to do moving forward.
And no, and I appreciate that, and I'm glad that we're searching for that, because we need to. I'm just, I don't know.
Well, I hate to put something else on our staff and on the teachers, because that's where it really will fall back to. Is it will require them to change their behaviors and focus on something that maybe not the main thing that's the main thing. Now we got to worry about, did I remember to turn the lights off or they're down? And so,
I really think that some of the turning the lights off when you leave the bathroom or when you leave the classroom every day, I really think that's already ingrained in every teacher's head. I would imagine that they already do that.
but we
So
got to
I
do something
think
different to save.
But
So
that's-
there's something different.
Woodruff
But
did
that's my
motion.
point,
Woodruff did
is
motion.
that-
Once your motion stops, the lights go out.
I mean, that's my point. Once, if their energy expert is in, the liaison that we would have, I would assume that they would be coming up with something more than turning the light switch off at 5 o'clock every day.
I would like to see that plan before we sign the contract.
Bingo.
They don't have a magic wand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they haven't shared that.
That's the thing, they haven't shared any aspect of how they are going to save us money, other than saying, oh, we can do it. Like, there's nothing that has been given to us that's specific to our district, just like the demographic studies and stuff that we do to evaluate all the schools and where we go from there. They ought to be able to provide the same thing before you sign a contract saying that you're gonna do it.
Have they provided any more detail to you and your team?
Basically, during their presentation, they did share information as far as those behavior type things. And it goes along with the software and with the monitoring and with having the energy specialist who's working throughout the night to look at those patterns and to make sure that things are set at where they need to be. And so that's how the guaranteed is there, because the energy specialist is doing all of that monitoring and making sure that those things are happening and in place.
Have they asked for any of our utility bills or what our consumption was the past
Yes.
5 years?
Yes.
And he's fairly certain that they can do something?
Yes, sir.
How do we compare to other districts our size?
I don't have that information as far as the utilities for other districts.
Just because I think there's some concern there, some questions that do need to be answered. It's not going to save us money overnight because there's a 60-day. I mean, we're going to lose, potentially not save what, $7,800 is what it's going to cost us once we do it. I'll make a motion to table this until we can get some more questions answered. By synergistic.
You are aware we tabled it last month?
I am.
Okay.
Mhm.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, I think that, this plan has been put off long enough, and I feel like superintendent has already, and her staff have already listened to it. We've had Johnson controls in place before. We won't know unless we get it. And I feel like if the term of the contract is not suitable, then we know how to terminate that contract within a certain amount of time.
We'll have to pay a
And that,
substantial amount.
yeah,
in order
but
to-
we know, we won't know until we get it. We won't know. And hopefully they'll have people in place to do just that, and hopefully they'll be trained to the utmost in order to monitor that. I know there was a discussion about who it would be. Would it be somebody off the street? Hopefully we would have sound knowledge of that person and that background to make sure that they could do it.
Well, it's somebody that they choose.
I think it was a partner. It was
No,
a
it's a
partnership.
partnership.
It was a partnership.
And I'm like Todd, I looked at some reviews and stuff, and they're not very good.
And those
On
might
that
be
aspect of things.
some old reviews, or maybe when they were the
No.
other.
Let's vote.
Yeah, they were kind of recent. And I would also offer this from, Massachusetts. I think the Attorney General suggested, or maybe it's the DOE for Massachusetts, suggested schools not just jump into these, but evaluate the free resources that are there. And I think Mr. Spears replied to my comment there. It was in our newsletter, and it says, most school districts take up to 8 months, I think, to review this, or and so that we should look at this and take our time. And so I think this is a $500,000 commitment, and we shouldn't take that lightly, because you're signing up for it. There was a school district in Texas, I think, that ended up getting sued because they wanted out of it and they didn't see the benefit, or maybe they didn't pay up at all. But there is some legal stuff going on there. It just kind of throws a flag up and says, maybe this is not the best. I'm not saying we don't do it at all. It's great. I'm an energy miser myself at home, and I think we need to look at this. But let's
Well, I would
take
hope
our
that
time.
we all are, because we
Yeah.
want more money filtered back into the students and for the
correct.
facilities, as well as,
Yeah.
the district
Yeah.
as a whole.
Dr. Thomas, didn't you just mention that you have looked at the free resources we have available?
Yes, we have done that throughout the district, and, we already have things in place where the principals know to try to be very conservative with their energy, with turning the lights off and doing different things. So we are doing what we can already, but, we can definitely continue to do some research on some things to see how we can continue to help in that area.
Well, there's a motion on the table. I'll just make one comment and then we can vote unless anyone else has an additional comment. And I do think that this is one of those types of agreements that you somewhat, I'll agree with Ms. Ware, that you have to get into to really figure out how things are going to shake out. And because it's really a no cost to us over the course of the time, we're not going to actually lose any money. We will get monies back, because I would trust that the energy specialists that Dr. Thomas and Synergistics would hire would be getting out there to the schools and doing the right things, so that we're following and checking off their list of what their significant duties are, that we would our behaviors that we would have to stick to. I know I've had multiple conversations with Mr. Lilas, with Dr. Thomas, about what can we do to save money, what resources do we have. And I personally feel like this is an opportunity that they're bringing to us to save money, and feel like they need to have an opportunity to pursue it. But that's just my 2 cents. So.
Do you believe that they could give us any more information than what they've already given us? What y'all saying?
They've given us a lot of information already, so I could definitely inquire to see if there's anything different that they could share, but they have provided us with a substantial amount of information. But if there's specific questions, I did include Mr. Jones' contact information in the newsletter, and they would welcome any of you to reach out to him as well, and I'll be happy to get any answers to any questions, but they have provided us with a good bit of detailed information.
Can we put a timeline on it? Can we do a week? Can we give it a week and come back and have a
There's a
closed
motion
session?
on the floor, though.
No, well, I know.
unless you're gonna
But I
withdraw your
can
motion.
pull that back off.
Yeah, you can, yeah, unless you're gonna withdraw your motion.
I mean, can we give it a week and check on a couple of things? And have a call session next week over the phone, make a decision? And can we put a timeline on it instead of just saying, you know, stop?
I don't know, you might see.
Because, I mean, they are right. I mean, you're not gonna find out until you do it. But
So withdraw your motion to table, and then we can vote on it just straight up.
I'll
now.
withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Wilson, did you get that?
Mr. Patterson withdrew his motion.
Yes. You're losing your voice. Okay, with that being said, do we have any, we still need, are we still gonna put a motion on the table, or are you?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
Okay.
To approve? Second?
There's a motion to approve the contract and a second. Is there any discussion?
You approving this contract?
Yes. All those in favor of allowing the superintendent to enter into a service agreement between Lawrence County District 55 and Synergistics. All those in favor, please raise your hand. All those opposed? So it's 4-3, the motion passes. Hey, Dr. Thomas.
Okay, thank
So
you.
you.
Thank you all so much. On September the 7th, we had Drone Demo Day at Lawrence District 55 High School to kick off our Drone Flight Academy. This training will provide the fundamentals of aeronautical systems and technologies that lead students to become certified in Federal Aviation Administration Part 107 certification. The program prepares students with work-based learning and hands-on real-world skills. The first cohort of students consists of our NJROTC cadets and began on September the 14th. We will have a press conference at the high school on Wednesday, September the 28th at 9 a.m. So we're very excited about this opportunity for our students. Students in grades K through 5 are participating in the Dreambox Math Challenge. Dreambox is a math learning program that is provided by the South Carolina Department of Education, and it adapts to each child, letting them drive their own learning while giving parents and teachers in-the-moment data and valuable insights to ensure success. Dreambox isn't meant to take the place of solid math instruction. However, it offers great practice and support for our students. It is engaging and appealing and contains sound mathematical content and solid teaching strategies. Students who complete a maximum of 14 Dreambox math lessons between September the 19th and October the 7th will be recognized during halftime at the October the 21st Lawrence Raiders football game. The elementary school with the most winners will receive the Dreambox Math Trophy for the months of October and November. Just a reminder that the field review period for the revised 2019 South Carolina College and Career Ready Standards for World Languages will end on September the 30th. The links for reviewing the revised standards and providing input are on the district website. So I would like to ask everyone to take an opportunity to provide feedback. This is the time to be able to provide input and feedback before the adoption of the new standards, which is targeted for August 2023. And again, this will close on September the 30th. So that is on our website if anyone would like to take a look and provide any input. I am happy to announce that we have re-implemented the DARE program. So I was able to visit at one of our schools, and this was actually, the pictures are from Ford Elementary School. So this is a partnership with Lawrence County Sheriff's Office, and we've re-implemented the DARE program for all of our elementary schools, and it stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Sheriff Don Reynolds has noted that the current DARE program is much improved and much more comprehensive than the program that was offered in the past. And so this is also another element that we spoke about when we were talking about part of our safety initiative and our safety plan. So we're definitely excited to see that. The students were also very excited to participate in the program. On Friday, September the 16th, the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office also partnered with the school district for Fist Bump Friday at 5 of our schools. Deputies and district administrators were on site at Waterloo Elementary, Gray Court Owings, Hickory Tavern, Ford, and Lawrence District 55 high schools to greet students with a fist bump or high five and words of encouragement as they arrived at school. This was a very rewarding experience as we are there to greet the students and to offer that encouragement to start their day. You may recall that we were recently able to acquire 2 Article K-9s through fundraising efforts. To those of you who were able to provide a donation, we really appreciate it and thank you so much. On September the 23rd, our city K-9, whose name is Kane, was on site at Sanders Middle School for his 4th day of work in the district. Kane drew the interest of WYFF, Channel 4, and the TV station aired a segment about him that evening. Kane's handler is Officer Tomlinson of Lawrence City Police Department, and both Officer Tomlinson and Lawrence City Police were on site and took part in the special segment. Our other K-9, his name is Abel. So we have Kane and Abel. As we have in the past, we're continuing to recognize staff members each month. 1 certified staff member and 1 support staff member. As Spirit of 55 award winners, the winners for September for our support staff, Ms. Angie Howell, who's the receptionist at Lawrence District 55 High School, and our certified staff, Ms. Marcy Sales, who's a 4K teacher at Ford Elementary School. Congratulations to both of these very deserving recipients. I would like to remind everyone that September the 30th is an early release day in our district. Dismissal will be 2.5 hours early and lunch will be served. And I also would like to make you all aware of some very exciting events that we have coming up in our district and hope that you all will make plans to participate. We are excited to announce that we will have a homecoming tailgate this year. This will take place on October the 7th. All alumni, staff, parents, and students are invited to attend. And you can find additional information on our website regarding the registration. Reading Under the Stars will take place on Friday, October the 14th. The event will take place at Casey Hanna Stadium from 6:30 until 8 p.m. This has been a very great event in the past where we have families to come out and really take an opportunity to put aside their devices, their phones, their computers, technology, and just spend quality time together as a family reading together. So we're very excited to continue with this event as well. The district is also hosting an education career fair on October the 20th from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. for certified educators who are interested in pursuing a career in District 55. So I would definitely like to encourage anyone who's interested to participate. We've definitely reached out to different colleges as well to make sure that they are aware of this event, so hopefully they will attend as well, those students. Additional information may be obtained by calling the District Human Resources Department at 984-3568. And on Saturday, November the 6th, we will have the Lace Up for Literacy 5K Run Walk. Additional information and registration link are available on the district website as well. We've had a great start to the 2022-2023 school year. It's hard to believe that we're already over halfway through the first 9 weeks. As I visit schools, it's evident that the teachers and students alike are excited about teaching and learning. We are committed to our mission of empowering and inspiring all to be educated and informed. Our focus is on the main thing, which is our students, as well as our goals to provide world-class safety and a positive school culture, provide world-class high-quality instruction to increase student achievement, and to provide world-class communication and family engagement. The state recently released state test scores for SC Ready, SC Pass, End of Course, and Work Keys. We applaud the fact that we make gains and improvement as a district on SC Ready and SC Pass from the 2021 to the 2022 in all grade levels, with the exception of a slight decrease in 7th grade math. When we also looked at our growth, we saw that our percentage of growth outperformed some of our surrounding districts. We also improved as a district in all subject areas of the end of course exam program assessment from spring 2021 to spring 2022. In addition, we had 75.7% of our students receive a certificate from the 2022 Work Keys assessment. I would like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of our staff, our teachers, our administrators, our parents, and the students just for their hard work that they did during the unprecedented times. It is so important that we continue to partner together and work together as a team for continuous improvement. We're pleased that we're seeing gains and moving in the right direction. However, the data also points out that we still have a lot of work to do, and we recognize that. It also points out the areas that we need to continue to focus on for continuous improvement as we make progress for every child, every chance, every day. John Hattie's research shows that teachers are the single most important classroom factor in a child's learning achievement. He synthesized 1,000 research reviews of 50,000 studies and found that the greatest influence on student progression and learning is having high quality, inspirational, and passionate teachers. In fact, collective teacher efficacy has a stronger influence on achievement than any other factor at the school, teacher, or student level. We truly appreciate our teachers, and I would like to take this opportunity again to just thank them for choosing Lawrence 55, because Lawrence 55 is truly a great place to be. We are spending a lot of our efforts and our resources on recruiting and retaining high-quality teachers and staff, as well as providing high-quality professional development to help build capacity. We're being very intentional on looking for ways to invest in our teachers in order to be competitive with our surrounding districts in regards to recruitment and retention. We're very excited about our 2+2 teacher program in partnership with Piedmont Technical College and Presbyterian College. This program will create a pathway to a bachelor's degree in education for students to earn an associate's degree in education from Piedmont Tech while still in high school, and they're able to transfer for their last 2 years at Presbyterian College for a bachelor's degree in education. And we're so excited that these classes will begin in the spring. We also have many systems and strategies in place this year to make additional gains and to continue to move in the right direction. We've worked hard on analyzing the data, the curriculum, the systems, and setting intentional goals for continuous improvement. We're working hard to make every moment matter for all of our students, and we're working with a sense of urgency to offer world-class educational opportunities for our students. Ms. Abercrombie, the Executive Director of Teaching and Learning, will provide additional detailed information regarding our assessment data and the next steps. At this time, I'll be happy to answer any questions. Okay. Thank you. This time, I recognize Ms. Jeannie Abercrombie to come forth to provide information, present teaching and learning assessment updates and information about local board approved courses.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Thomas, and the visitors here this evening. I'm here to present to you the information that Dr. Thomas has referred to. So I will be sharing some of our district data. I'll be sharing about our MAP scores that are district-wide, as well as South Carolina Ready scores, our South Carolina Pass scores, the end-of-course assessments for English 1, Algebra 1, English 2, Algebra 1, Biology, and U.S. History and Constitution, as well as with our Work Keys assessment, which measures foundational skills required for success in the workplace. So there are some other assessments that we are still waiting on that are embargoed at the state level that we will be able to share information in October with you when those embargoes are lifted. So I want to start tonight, similar to just restating what Dr. Thomas has said, by acknowledging the hard work of our staff, of our administrators, of our teachers. Teaching is a very complex profession, and throughout time, not just in pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, you know, we'll see when we look at our trend data that throughout time, we have students in our classrooms with many different levels. And the challenge for us as educators and for teachers is to meet all of the students where they are and to continuously move them and to provide the scaffolds that they need. And so, but that is our challenge, and we're ready to continue meeting that challenge. And I would be amiss this evening if I did not take the opportunity to thank our teachers for the work that they've put in, for our administrators. You know, there are tireless hours that they spend outside of their buildings making decisions and planning for the next day. And so we really do appreciate the work that they do. I want us to think back to this time last year. This time last year, we were still in mid-pandemic situations. If you will recall, we had a high number of student absences as well as staff absences. During these first few months of school, the district office as well as instructional leadership teams within the school buildings, we would go to schools to try to cover classes because we had so many adults absent. So we had a very trying year last year, as we did in our 2021 school year as well. But I'm here to tell you tonight that, however, through all of those challenges, that we still saw growth in many areas within our grades and within our subject areas. So as we begin looking at our MAP data, measures of academic progress is the assessment that we use. The state requires us to assess our 3rd through 8th grade students 3 times a year in reading and in math. And so we have a fall, winter, and spring assessment that we give. So when I begin to click through these slides, they're by grade level. We're starting with ELA, and you can see that the first column is the 21 fall score compared to the spring 22 score. So I'm going to click through ELA grades 1 through 8 and then go into math. And as you can see, we are proud to say that in every school, in every grade level, in math and ELA, in reading, we saw growth across the board. And so we know and we realize that when we look at our MAP data, it starts where children are, where our students are, and moves them forward. So not every student that we've seen this growth in is on grade level. Some are below grade level, some are above grade level, some are on grade level. But in every grade level, we were able to see that growth. And we do want to celebrate that this evening. And so as we look at and move into our South Carolina College and Career Ready Assessment, which we refer to as SC Ready, again, the state requires us to provide this assessment to all of our 3rd through 8th grade students in math and reading. And we're going to look at our state data first. And when we look at that, you're going to see that there are some grade levels where, as a state, across South Carolina, we did surpass pre-COVID scores, but in some levels, in some areas, grade levels, we did not. And so the key points that I want to share with you on our SC Ready data is that from 21 to 22, from those years, we had growth in every single grade level in ELA in our district. We saw growth. And in every grade level except 7th grade in math. So I want us to start by looking at our overall state data. And so the first column is 2019, then 2020, and 2022. And if you notice, as a state, There was a dip in 2021 and then recovery in 2022. So as a state, we dropped back in 21, but we recovered in those grades. And if you look, and I know it's hard to tell, but if you look closely, in 5th grade, 6th grade, and 8th grade, as the state, we surpassed pre-COVID scores. When we look at our district data, we see a similar pattern. We had that dip in 2021, and in every school, every grade level in our district, we surpassed our 21 scores. So we have growth in all of those areas. If you look at our data closely, in 5th and 8th grade, we did surpass pre-COVID scores, and we were very close in 3rd, 6th, and 7th grades. The next set of slides breaks down by school. So if you look at our elementary schools, you can see again that we had that dip in 2021. And in every elementary school, we had that growth in 2022 that we surpassed that dip. 3 of our 6 elementary schools surpassed pre-COVID scores. For our middle school, here you can see that 3 out of 4 had growth and 2 out of 4 surpassed pre-COVID scores as well in ELA. Now moving on to math, similar results in the trend data. You see that dip in 2021, and our state data in all but 8th grade shows a dip. If you notice in 8th grade, we as a state went down, and so we actually scored higher in 2021 in 8th grade math across the state as opposed to that.
Ms. Abercrombie, can I
Yes.
interrupt you? Something that just makes me think, why in the world or do we have a higher percentage of 3rd graders and higher than 4th and 5th, all the way down? It's like either our expectations on this test are not right, or our teaching toward those expectations is not right statewide. Do you have any? I'm throwing you a curve right here in the middle of your talk, sorry.
Right, and you're talking about 3rd grade compared to the other grades?
Well, 3rd to 4th, 4th to 5th, 5th, 6th, all the way down. It's like they keep losing ground further and further in math.
And math is a state, across the board, there is a concern for math in our state because we did see such a decrease statewide. So that is something that very much is on our radar and on our target area, and we have been working on that. We started last year really focusing on math and providing specific strategies, looking at the standard. A lot of times where our struggle comes in is meeting the rigor of the standard and making sure that we have those. I think it's important for us to realize, and I know the 2019 data would be pre-COVID, but I think it's important for us to think in terms of if we take a 4th grade student this year, you know, they were in 3rd grade last year, so in 2nd grade was when it was a full pandemic. You know, they missed the end of 1st grade. So as a state, we are recognizing and determining where those missing links are. You know, if students have missed that numbers and operations and they don't have that foundation, and then they're moving on to the next grade level because it's the whole grade level that missed those opportunities, you know, that is something that we very much are aware of and have conversations about.
Even the 2019 data is sloped downward. So
It does.
You would think if they build on that, it would maintain or
Yeah,
go up
no,
some.
it's like
well,
we're
yeah,
losing.
I saw that.
We're losing ground on something. Everybody is.
It is.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine, you're fine. And so if we move on to our district data, we did not see any scores surpassing pre-COVID scores, but we did see growth in every grade level except 7th grade. So we realize that we are not where we want to be, but we did have substantial growth in some of our grade levels from 21 to 22. So we are moving in the right direction with that, and we are very focused on our 7th grade. as well as our 8th grade students, because they were 7th grade students last year. If we look at our data by school, you can see that all of our elementary schools saw growth from 21 to 22. One school surpassed pre-COVID scores, and we also had 2 elementary schools that were very close with that. Looking at our middle school data, you can see that 2 out of our 4 middle schools had growth, and you know, we do know that there are significant areas that we are working on with our instructional leaders in those buildings to really focus and pinpoint where those disconnects are and the things that we need to do to support and provide those resources in teaching those math standards. I have a couple of more data points of reference that I want to share with you concerning our SC Ready. And it's in comparison to, you know, we have a neighbor in our county, and a lot of times we get those questions. Well, how do we compare to our neighbor in Lawrence 56? And so, you know, if you look at the data, you can see that their scores are higher than ours. We're not denying that. But I do want us to take an opportunity to look at our growth, because, you know, to continue to improve, to close the achievement gaps, to make decisions instructionally sound, is going to show that our growth has to exceed exponentially. We can't just focus anymore on just having a year's growth. We have to make massive amounts of changes to make that growth happen. So when we look at our neighbor and just comparing growth, we see we're pretty close in 3rd grade. We had more growth in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and they surpassed us in 7th and 8th grade. So when we look at overall our growth as a district, we had 38.2% growth rate in our district compared to 33.8% growth for them. And then in looking at math, we had more growth in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, and they had higher growth in 7th and 8th grade. We both had minimal growth. Obviously, you can see that our 7th grade is our struggle area, and for them it was in 6th grade. But when we compare and look at our overall growth for math across the district, we had 22.4% growth rate, and they had 0.8%. So we feel like that the things we started, like I said, last year, we really began focusing on math. We feel like we're moving in the right direction, we're making those gains, and we are going to continue to work on those and to analyze that data to continue improving. And then the last 2 slides that I want to share about SC Ready is comparing our growth to the state growth. So when we look at across the state, the growth that was made and then the growth we made within our district, we see that in 3rd, 5th, and 6th grade and 7th grade, we surpassed the state rate of growth, and then in the other areas, they surpassed us. And that is in ELA, and then for math, we surpassed in every growth in every grade level, but in 7th grade. And so we worked really hard last year to get some things in place, and we will continue to focus on that. SC Pass is the assessment that we give for science in 4th and 6th grade, and we're going to take a look at that data now. Again, the trend is basically the same. Across the state, you see that dip in 2021, and then the state recovered and had some growth in 2022, but did not surpass any of the pre-COVID scores. When we look at our district data, we basically follow that same trend. We had a dip in 2021, and we bounced back in 2022, and we are close. We have some more growing to do to get back to that pre-pandemic. But again, we also have that focus on science and providing additional supports to our teachers this year. As you all know, this is the year that science standards are being introduced into our schools so that we can have an opportunity to learn and grow from them. Next year is the first full year of implementation of the new science standards, and so we are working very closely with our schools and our teachers to provide those optimal opportunities for them with the new science standards. And then looking at growth, we surpassed the state in growth in both 4th and 6th grade. The next set of data points that I want to share with you is end of course testing. And we just use what we call it the EOC. We have a lot of acronyms in education. And remember that this exam is given for English 2, Algebra 1, Biology, and U.S. History and Constitution. And I want to share that with this, if you notice, there's only 2 data points for English. That is because in 2018 and 19, as a state, we gave the assessment for English 1. And then in 2021, we began giving the assessment for English 2. So that data would really not be comparable since it is 2 different assessments. As well as if you see U.S. history, that is our baseline data. If you will recall, we just adopted new standards. This past year was the first year that those were assessed, and it was not counted, and we would not compare it to our other data because of the new standards. So if you look at our state data across the board, you can see that there was a dip in algebra, and as a state, we did show some growth, but nowhere near our pre-pandemic as a state. And then in biology, we took a dip as a state, looking at that. When we look at our district data, you can see that in English 2, Algebra 1, we did show growth. In biology, we've had growth from 2021, and then there is our baseline data for U.S. history. In Algebra 1 and both in biology, we have not surpassed our pre-COVID scores, but we are seeing that growth as we move forward. And then if we look at our state comparison, we had growth in all 3 areas, English 2, Algebra 1, and biology, that surpassed the state. And of course, there's nothing to compare for U.S. history. And then the last assessment that I'm going to share with you is work keys. And work keys, this assessment measures foundational skills required for success in the workplace. And there are 3 different assessments that we offer at different levels of difficulty. We offer applied math, graphic literacy, and workplace documents. And in those, if a student completes all 3 work key assessments, they earn the Work Key National Career Readiness Certificate, and this credential verifies foundational workplace skills. And so as we look at the slides for work keys, you will see that there's only 1 point of data, and that is due to, in the past, our state has selected WIN, Ready to Work assessment, has been the assessment that we have used and contracted with. Last year, for 1 year only, the state approved work keys, and that is what we assessed in the 2022 school year. We do have information and data from WIN, but it's really not anything that we can compare because it is 2 different assessments. We have not heard, work keys was just approved for last year. We still, at this date, have not received information of who the contract has been given to for this year's testing. So when we look at our slide, we can see that we had 27.2% earn bronze, 25.7% to earn silver, 15.5% earned gold, and 11.3% earned platinum. So across the state, you can see that there were more that earned bronze and silver, and fewer that earned gold and platinum. And when you look at our district data, it mirrors basically the same thing. We had more to score in those bronze and silver categories. So our mission is empowering and inspiring all to be educated and informed. And we firmly believe that every student in our district should have every opportunity, every day, for that world-class education that we've heard so much about tonight. And I'm going to share with you just a few things that we're going to continue to do to continue that momentum to move us forward. but also in obtaining growth in all areas. I've presented to you this evening a lot of data that shows some of our growth. It also exposes some areas that we have that are challenges to us. And while we acknowledge the growth and we're pleased that we're moving in the right direction, we are not satisfied with where we are as a district. We know where we are and we're not satisfied with that. So we know that we have to continue that momentum of that growth. We know that we have to continue to make instructional decisions and changes that are going to definitely benefit our teachers and our students. So we've worked hard as a team to coordinate curriculum and to align professional development opportunities to serve our faculties as they serve our students. And it really begins with making data-driven decisions every moment of every day. And if we're going to ensure that all of our students are going to achieve growth and work to develop mastery of these skills and the standards that we talk about so often, then we have to constantly be reviewing our data. We have to constantly be looking at what the students are producing for us so that we can make those informed next steps instructionally. And we have to be willing to make those changes. One of the first things that I said to you this evening was that teaching was a very complex profession. And that boils down to what I was just referring to about making those instructional decisions in the moment. And that is so crucial for what happens, because the magic happens in the classroom. The magic happens when the door closes. So the ability to make different decisions for different students at different times that informs the effectiveness of the instruction and the moment-to-moment instructional decisions that a teacher makes based on their observations and what the students are producing are very significant in moving us forward. So the foundations of these decisions that have to be made must come from current data. We have to constantly be looking at our data and looking at what we are teaching and how we are teaching it. The instructional leadership teams at each school provide support for planning through weekly planning sessions to progress monitor and build bridges to learning. But in that moment during instruction, teachers have to make those instructional decisions to guide the directions of their lessons to support the needs of the students. As district and school level instructional leadership teams, it's our responsibility to provide the resources and the supports and the coaching moments that make that magic happen in those classrooms. It is our responsibility that we meet our instructional needs that we have across our district, that we close those achievement gaps, and we ensure substantial growth for all of our students in all of our buildings, in all of our grade levels. The district instructional leadership team is having data meetings with all of our schools to use this real-time data to make instructional decisions, to provide supports and those resources. The meetings are monthly, and at each school is focused on their own specific data, their current data. We've shared data with principals. We've had direct conversations with instructional leadership teams and principals on their test scores and improvement, as well as set goals. The school staff has disaggregated the data to review the positives and also the challenges, and to think about next steps and what would be things to do to work on for those areas that are great and those areas that need improvement. We have one-on-one session with principals. Dr. Thomas has assigned cabinet members, a principal or two apiece, and each week we go and we meet with those principals. We sit down, we talk about the data, we look at instructional practices, we do learning walks, we offer support, and during these sessions we have those data conversations weekly, and then in turn they replicate that with their instructional leadership teams as well as with their teachers. We have classroom visits, and this looks many different, can be many different ways. We have instructional walkthroughs, we have learning walks, we have coaching cycles, we have instructional leadership walks, and we have data walks. And then following those, we provide feedback. looking at what is happening around our schools, in our buildings, and networking to focus on, to get to the rigor of the standard being taught, to look at the level of the instructional delivery in accordance to the South Carolina Teaching Standard 4.0 rubric, and to looking at the student and the teacher engagement as well, because it is vital to have students involved in their learning and to set those goals. We have coaches camp, and again, this is a time where instructional coaches and principals come together to look at data with the district office. We look at instructional practices, we unpack standards, and we plan for next steps. While our curriculum is state approved and important, we recognize and know that if we're going to make significant improvements, that we have to have a laser focus on the teaching level of rigor according to the South Carolina College and Career Ready standards in every grade level, in every subject. It is a non-negotiable that we have to protect instructional time, and then we have to inspect that instructional time. All planning sessions and lessons crafted have to be on grade level standards. And then the challenging part for us all and for our teachers is scaffolding that learning for those that are below grade level and need that support to get to the mastery of the standard. In addition, we have ongoing PD, professional development in all of our content areas. And this happens through our training days, through our Champion Tuesdays, on our early release days, and every session begins and ends with a focus on the academic content standards, meeting the rigor of that standard, ensuring that those standards are aligned to the work that the students are being asked to do in the classroom, as well as to our assessments. For support of our end of course assessments, as well as work keys, thinking about supporting our high school teachers, Dr. Harris and the instructional leadership team at the district and the school level are working closely together to ensure that that delivery is aligned to the academic standards. The departments are working on to write and make adjustments to their content-specific pacing guides, again, to ensure that all of the standards are covered before the end of the semester. It's important that we determine the cognitive complexity of the standards so that we are planning, so that as we are planning, we can think about the scaffolds that are needed for our students that have those gaps in learning. We're also working to support our teachers as we design student work that allows students to show success on their work and mastery of the standards, and produce that evidence that shows that complexity of the standards. Our students need to know what they are learning, why they are learning it, and when they have learned it. Our school instructional leadership teams are involved in professional learning communities, and during that time they are looking at the needs of their students as well as planning for Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 supports. So we have all areas, all subjects, all grades on our radar, because again, we know where we are, and we are not satisfied where we are, but we are pleased that we've made growth from 21 to 22. We're on the right track, we're moving in the right direction, and so we are pleased with that growth. We are providing checkpoints, and we will provide you with checkpoints along the way, so that we can give reports to you on our data that we're looking at and the improvements that we are making. We are providing checkpoints weekly and quarterly within our schools and looking at our data daily to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students where they are. So as we continue through this year, we will continue to provide you with more test data and information. So I just want to give a quick recap of our 21-22 data. 100% of our elementary and middle school students showed growth on math in reading and math. 7 out of 8 of our elementary and middle schools had growth in ELA, and 6 out of 8 showed growth in math. We surpassed the growth percentages compared to the state in every grade level in ELA except for 4th and 8th, and in every grade level in math except 7th. We had growth in both grades for SC Pass, and we surpassed the state rate of growth in both 4th and 6th grade. For the EOC, we had growth in English 2, Algebra 1, and Biology, and we collected baseline data for U.S. history. And in Work Keys, we increased the number of students achieving the gold and platinum levels. So for 2 years and almost 3 months, if you think about that pandemic time, we endured a lot of hardships. And from 21 to 22, we did have growth across the board in many of our areas and many of our grades. And all of this data that I've shared with you tonight highlights many celebrations, and it also acknowledges that we're moving in the right direction, but it shines spotlights on areas that we need to have laser focus on so that we can continue to provide that world-class education for every child, every chance, every day in Lawrence District 55. Thank you.
Ms. Abercrombie, I have a few questions for you. Okay. Thank you for highlighting the growth and the good that has been happening in the district over this past year. However, I want to unpack a little bit of the information that was shared with us in our board packet.
Okay.
The information that was shared with us is different slides than you actually presented. So I'm going to go all the way back to the MAP scores that you were referring to earlier. The information that you provided us with grade 1 through 8 and MAP scores, only 4 times in the spring 2020 numbers did any of our schools actually meet the target that is provided on our district website. And that was Hickory Tavern, I believe, met it in grade 1 math, in grade 3 math, and in grade 5 reading. And Ford is the only other school that met the target, and that was in grade 2 math. So when I saw all of our test data come out, it was really disheartening. And so I went down a rabbit hole, I did some digging, and I came across, I may not pronounce this acronym correctly, but NEWA.
NWEA?
Yes, that's it. So they have a study, and I was trying to figure out how do we link the MAP data to the South Carolina Ready data. So they have a study that was published in 2020, and to my knowledge, nothing more recent has been studied. And our targets for our MAP on the website do not even meet what they say our targets should meet in order to translate to being proficient on South Carolina Ready.
That is correct.
So why are our targets so low?
Well, our targets are set based on the national norms, and we rank them at the 35th percentile and the 50th percentile and the 65th percentile. And you're correct, when I was sharing the data, before I shared the data, I explained that for MAP, if we look at our RIT band, our RIT scores, they are not grade level specific. They are not standards based. So if you score a 204 in 4th grade and you score a 204 in 2nd grade, it means the same thing.
Right.
It's equivalent.
Right.
So for that, our scores, we showed growth, but remember I said that some of our students were well below grade level, some were above grade level, some were on grade level. So across the board, we saw growth in all of our students, the high performing students, the middle students, and the low performing students. And so we set our goals based on the national norms that they provide. So the scores that you're looking at now, if those are last year's scores, we increased those, or those were updated for this year based on the national norm assessment that was given from them. As far as comparing,
are you talking about
to
these scores?
Yes.
I pulled this off the website today, so I hope that it's
our new
correct.
score. So that would be our 2022 scores. So comparing it to SC Ready, so there are reports that administrators and teachers can go in, and there's just a button you click on, and it will project where once we get scores, now that we have fall scores, it will project what a student has to score to become proficient, and it sets a goal for that student. So we can look now and we know the students that are close to being proficient and the ones that are far off from being proficient. So we use that report to look at where our students are.
And on the information regarding South Carolina Ready, I know you mentioned growth. I know you were trying to compare it to where we are in the state, but you know, we're part of a consortium, WEPEC, and in that we're 13 out of 14. 13 out of 14. And districts with our same poverty index, we're last.
Well, and we're not 13 out of 14 in every grade level in every subject area.
I'm just looking at the overall information.
Ranking, you know, I acknowledged at the beginning, we are not pleased with where we are. But if you look at our data, the trend data that I shared, and even if you go back and look at 2017, 2016, 2015, we are not that far off from where we have been. And so we are really laser focused on making sure that our instruction is aligned to the content standards. And
Well,
so,
I just don't, no one rises to low expectations. And when I saw the scores for the linking from the map to the SC Ready, it didn't make sense to me why we would set our scores lower.
well, and you know, that is, we can set our scores higher, but then if we base it on where our students are too. So if we look at where we are as a district, you know, if we set our scores, if we say that 100% of our students are going to pass this test, that is a score that's a goal that we set, but realistically we know that 100% of our students are not going to pass that test. Every testing period with MAP, you know, we have student conferences, we set goals with our students, we have those discussions with them about where they are and what their growth goal is to meet, and we try to scaffold that to get them to that. And we have some students that surpass their growth goal, and we have some students that struggle with that.
I'm sorry. Madam Chair, if I may, I would just like to say that, first of all, we definitely have high expectations for all of our students and for all of our staff in our district. And when we're looking at MAP, it's just one very small piece of data that we use and that we look at. We also have growth measures that is aligned to our standards, which is definitely a better use to help us use that data to guide our instruction. So by having the data from those things that are aligned to our state standards, that will better equip our teachers and our administrators and our district staff in order to be able to set those goals. We've recently had a meeting with principals where we looked at and we set very lofty goals and very high expectations for what we expected as far as growth in the next few weeks. So we definitely, that is just one piece of our data, and I just want to make sure that, you know, that is something that we use because it is a requirement to have some type of assessment in place. But we use multiple measures in order to look at some progress monitoring and the things that we're doing for our students. So we definitely have high expectations, and we want all of our students in our district to achieve success. Thank you.
Thank you. Going now over to the EOC data. I think one of the numbers that you presented in the board packet, I think it must have just been a typo. 2019, you've got it 82% for Algebra 1, and I believe it was, according to the school report card, it's 72.6.
For the state?
Yes.
Are you looking at the state? So in 2018, it was 76.2, and in 2019, 82.6.
the data that I pulled off the state website says that it's not 82.6, that it's 72.6.
Oh,
So I was just wondering,
Okay.
I thought maybe that was just a typo.
I'm sorry.
On this particular data that you shared with the board, this trend data is based off D's or higher, but the state judges us off C's or higher, and our C's or higher number are much lower when we look at the 2022 data versus a D or higher. Why did you choose to do that?
So the Ds do count for students to pass. So our students that pass that assessment are Ds and higher. C and higher is what is reported on the state report card. But students who do score a D in the end of course assessment, they do pass that assessment. It will count 20% of their grade, but they do pass that assessment. So it counts as passing, but on the state report card, it's reported out for C's and above.
Well, I think everyone, when looking at the data, it seemed like most districts, when I pulled up information, they still report with C's or above. And I want us to be a world-class district. And I don't think striving for D's is going to get us there.
We certainly agree with that. We're not striving for D's, but we want to recognize that between our D's and A's, that those students did receive the credit for passing for that. But yes, you're exactly right. We don't want to set our sights low. We do have high expectations, and we do want to challenge all of our students, from our lowest performing students to our highest performing students.
Well, and I shared this with someone at sitting at the supper table, and that, you know, sharing positive growth information is wonderful, but getting into the meat of it to really understand where we are and acknowledging where we are from a testing perspective and what these numbers look like, we have to be able to acknowledge that to be able to grow and build on it and move forward.
Yes, and you're right, you are correct on that as well. And as Dr. Thomas just shared, and as I shared in the report, we are doing that with our administrative teams at the school level, as well as having those conversations here at the district office to ensure that we are doing all that we can to support at the school level. We're having those real conversations about where we are with our data and certainly where we want to be at the end of this school year. Dr. Thomas, last week in one of our meetings with the principals, she gave them the challenge of setting a goal of where they expect to be at the end of this school year. So we are very much having those conversations and very much aware of where we are and setting those high expectations to move us far higher than where we are now.
Thank you.
Thank you. And, you know, we're definitely wanting to be very transparent with where we are. And so thank you, Ms. Abercrombie, for sharing where we are and being transparent with that. But we also want to celebrate our teachers for the hard work that they've done, and our administrators and our students and our parents for actually working hard during the unprecedented time and showing that growth and making gains. But again, as we've all stated tonight, we're not where we want to be, and we're continuing to work hard, and we have that sense of urgency to make it happen for all of our students in Lawrence County School District 55.
And I know it's across the board, but what can we do? I didn't know if it was any particular segment or if it's just across the board, and what can we do to help recovery? I mean, I'm just asking.
Right. Well, we definitely have things and strategies and plans in place, and as we continue to develop our work plans for the district, we're really focused on having those specific strategies. And so as we're meeting with administrators, we have those specific plans in place and setting those goals and making sure that we have that, as I mentioned earlier, the most influential component of student achievement, the teachers in the classroom. And so we're working very hard to ensure that high quality instruction is taking place in all of our classes. So we're doing what we can to fill vacancies, to recruit and retain high quality staff, and that is a big component. We have to make sure that we're competitive with surrounding districts to offer things to actually recruit those high-quality teachers to be in our district. And so we're definitely constantly having those conversations about having those innovative things in place to attract and retain high-quality staff. So we're working tirelessly to make sure that we're providing the support that's needed for our teachers, as well as recruitment and retention as well.
Ready to move to the
Yes.
courses?
Okay. All right, in accordance with the State Board of Education Regulation 43-234, I am requesting the Board of Trustees approval for the 42 courses in your board packet for Lawrence District 55 High School for the 23-24 school year. In addition to that, also the 4 additional project search courses that are being offered during the 22-23 school year. And these courses do not have state course codes, and they require local school board approval.
Okay, we have a request on the floor to approve these courses. We actually have it listed as 2 different motions, so if we could have a motion to approve the amendment to the local school courses for this year, and I believe those were the project search courses.
I'll make a motion to approve the addendum to the 2022-23 local board approved courses for Lawrence District 55 High School.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Is there any discussion on the motion? All those in favor to approve the addendum to the 2022-2023 local board approved courses for Lawrence District 55 High School, please raise your hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. And then now we have the 42 classes. And I believe all of these, with the exception of Project Search, since we did that, are in the system today for this year, correct?
Yes.
So there's nothing new.
approved
It's just
that.
getting it on the books for next year.
This is just giving time for our middle and high schools to begin working on registration for next year.
Okay. So we will need a motion for this as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the courses as presented in the board packet for the 23-24 school year.
Thank you, Mr. Varner.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Is there any discussion?
Just one brief thing. I know last year
Yes.
we had pretty generic descriptions for all of these, and I appreciate you updating those to show the increasing responsibility, task, or whatever challenge for each of the courses. So thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor to approve the list of 42 local board approved courses for Lawrence District 55 High School for the 23-24 school year, please raise your hand. That's unanimous. Thank you, Ms. Abercrombie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Abercrombie and trustees, and this concludes my superintendent's report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Thomas. Yes.
Okay. Good evening. I'm here to present second reading for board policies GCC and GDC, staff leaves and absences for professional and support staff. If you remember last time, the only changes that we made, we were updating the perfect attendance policy in GCC and GDC, which referenced 2 awards per year. So we updated that to say that there would be perfect attendance bonuses for each quarter at the $100. And we also included the incentive that is utilized for days over 90, that whenever a staff member loses those at the end of their each year, whenever they are able to only carry over 90. We were only paying $10 per day, and we put in a recommendation to up that to $75 a day. And since we're at second reading, this would need board approval. Do you have any questions?
Any discussion? need a motion to continue.
I make a motion to approve policy GCC, professional staff leaves and absences, and policy GDC, support staff leaves and absences.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Mr. Bronner, are there any questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the motion, or approving the policy GCC, professional staff leaves and absences, and policy GDC, support staff leaves and absences,